The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my office. When I saw Mom flash across my phone screen, I almost dropped my coffee. 15 years. That's how long it had been since I'd heard her voice, since I'd been part of the Hamilton family circle. My finger hovered over the decline button, but curiosity won. Christopher? Her voice was exactly as I remembered, formal, slightly disapproving, like she was already preparing to be disappointed. Hello, Mother. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. I could hear her breathing, probably sitting in that same floral armchair in the living room where she used to hold court, passing judgment on everything I did wrong while Everly could do no right. Your sister's 35th birthday is next Saturday, she said finally, as if 15 years hadn't passed, as if we'd just spoken yesterday. She specifically asked that you be there. I almost laughed. Everly, asking for me, the golden child who got the car for her 16th birthday while I got a lecture about responsibility? The one who got her college fully paid while I was told to figure it out myself because Christopher needs to learn the value of hard work? I see, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Years of business negotiations had taught me to never show my cards too early. The party starts at 7. Our house. Don't be late. She paused, then added, you can bring whoever you're with these days. Whoever I'm with. She didn't even know about Maria, about our 10 years of marriage, about Emma and Jake. My mother didn't know she had grandchildren. After she hung up, I sat there, staring at the wall of my office, my corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown. Behind me, framed articles from Business Weekly and Entrepreneur magazine featured headlines about the auto service revolution and from ground up, the Christopher Hamilton story. Maria found me there an hour later, still holding my phone. What's wrong? She knew immediately. Maria always knew. My mother called. Everly's birthday party. They want me there. Her face went through a series of emotions. Surprise, anger, concern. She'd heard all the stories, held me through the anger and hurt of those early years when I was struggling to build something while carrying the weight of their rejection. Are you going to go? I looked at my wife, this incredible woman who'd believed in me when no one else did, who'd worked double shifts as a nurse while I was getting the first shop off the ground, who'd never once complained during those lean years when we were eating ramen and praying the electricity wouldn't get cut off. I think I am, I said slowly. But not for the reasons they think. Maria sat down across from me, her dark eyes searching my face. Chris, you don't owe them anything. You know that, right? I know. I reached across the desk and took her hand, but maybe I owe it to myself, to show them no, to show myself that their opinion doesn't matter anymore, And the kids? Emma was 12 now, smart as a whip and already talking about becoming an engineer. Jake, 8, was obsessed with soccer and had his mother's kind heart. They'd never met my side of the family. I'd told them my parents lived far away, which wasn't technically a lie. They lived 20 miles across the city, but emotionally, they might as well have been on another planet. They should know where I come from, I said, the good and the bad. They're old enough to understand. Maria squeezed my hand. If we do this, we do it as a team. The 4 of us. They either accept all of us or none of us. That evening, I called a family meeting. Emma and Jake sat on the couch, looking curious and slightly worried. Family meetings usually meant something big was happening. Kids, I need to tell you something about my family, I began. You know how Mama's parents come visit every Christmas and summer? Well, my parents. We haven't talked in a very long time. Why? Jake asked, his 8-year-old mind trying to process parents who didn't talk to their kids. I chose my words carefully. Sometimes families have different ideas about what's important. My parents and my sister, they thought I should be a certain way, and when I chose my own path, they weren't happy about it. That's mean, Emma said, frowning. Parents are supposed to love you no matter what. You're right, sweetheart, they are. Maria pulled Emma close, but not all parents understand that. So why are we talking about them now? Emma, always the practical one. Because they've invited us to your Aunt Everly's birthday party. You have an aunt you've never met, and grandparents too. I wanted to know if you'd like to meet them. The kids exchanged glances. Will they be mean to you? Jake asked, and my heart broke a little at the protective anger in his voice. They might be cold, I admitted, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they think anymore. I have you 3. I have my work. I have a life I'm proud of. Going to this party isn't about them. It's about closing a chapter. We talked for another hour, answering questions, addressing concerns. By the end, we'd decided we would go, but on our terms. We'd stay in a hotel, not at my parents' house. We'd have our own car, ready to leave if things got uncomfortable, and most importantly, we'd go as the Hamiltons we'd become, not the one they remembered. The rest of the week passed in a blur of normalcy mixed with mounting anxiety. I threw myself into work, finalizing the paperwork for our 7th location, this one in the suburbs where, ironically, I'd grown up. My business partner, Marcus, noticed my distraction. You've been off all week, he said Friday afternoon, standing in my office doorway. What's going on? Marcus had been with me since the beginning, when Hamilton Auto Service was just a crazy dream and a rented garage. He'd seen me through the worst of it. Family drama, I said simply. The family that hasn't talked to you in 15 years? That family? The very same. He whistled low. You need backup? I can come along, pretend to be your bodyguard. I've been working out. I laughed despite my stress. Thanks, but I think showing up with security might send the wrong message. Or the right one, he countered. Chris, you built an empire from nothing. 7 locations, 43 employees, revenue that would make their heads spin. Don't let them make you feel small again. His words stayed with me as I drove home that evening. The man who'd been kicked out of the Hamilton house for refusing to study law, for wanting to work with his hands, for dating below his station, that man now employed dozens of people, had his company logo on buildings across the city, had created something from nothing. Saturday arrived too quickly. I stood in our bedroom, staring at my closet, paralyzed by indecision. The navy suit, Maria said from behind me, with the watch I gave you for our anniversary. The watch was a Rolex, not flashy, but anyone who knew watches would recognize its value. Maria had saved for 2 years to buy it, presenting it to me on our 10th anniversary with tears in her eyes. "You've earned this," she'd said. "You've earned everything." Emma appeared in the doorway wearing a simple blue dress. "Dad, do I look okay? I don't know what they expect." I pulled her into a hug. "You look perfect. And Em, they don't get to expect anything. We're not performing for them." Jake bounded in wearing khakis and a button-down shirt, his hair actually combed for once. "Can we go? I want to see what awful people look like." "Jake," Maria scolded, but I could see her fighting a smile. "They're not awful," I corrected gently. "They're just limited. They can only see the world one way, and anything outside that makes them uncomfortable." The drive to my parents' house took us through my old neighborhood. I pointed out landmarks to the kids, the park where I'd learned to ride a bike, the corner store where I'd bought candy with saved allowance, the tree I'd fallen from and broken my arm when I was Jake's age. "Did Grandma take care of you when you broke your arm?" Jake asked innocently. "No," I said quietly. "She was at one of Everly's recitals. Mrs. Chen from next door drove me to the hospital." Maria's hand found mine on the center console, squeezing gently. The house looked exactly the same. White colonial, perfectly manicured lawn, my mother's prized rose bushes flanking the walkway. The driveway was full of cars, Mercedes, BMWs, a Porsche that probably belonged to Everly's husband, Richard. I'd looked him up online, investment banker, old money family, everything my parents had wanted for me. I parked our Tesla on the street. It wasn't the most expensive car there, but it was mine, paid for with money I'd earned, building something real. "Remember," I told my family as we walked up the driveway, "we can leave anytime, just give me the signal." The door opened before we could knock. My mother stood there, 15 years older but trying to hide it with expensive treatments and carefully applied makeup. Her eyes went wide as she took us in, not just me, but Maria and the kids. "Christopher," she said my name like she was testing if it was real. Her gaze shifted to Maria, cataloging her appearance, then to the children, searching their faces for familiar features. "Mother, this is my wife Maria, and our children, Emma and Jake." "Your wife." She recovered quickly, the perfect hostess mask sliding into place. "How lovely. Please come in." The house smelled like I remembered furniture polish and my mother's perfume, with undertones of whatever catered food was being served. The living room was full of people, most of whom I recognized as Everly's friends or my parents' social circle. Conversation stopped as we entered. And there she was, Everly, still beautiful, still perfectly put together, still the center of attention. She was holding court near the fireplace, her laugh tinkling across the room like it always had. When she saw me, her expression went through several changes: surprise, confusion, something that might have been guilt. "Christopher," she crossed the room, her heels clicking on the hardwood. "You actually came. You asked me to." She looked at Maria and the kids, and for a moment, her composure cracked. "I didn't know you were married. Mother didn't mention." "Mother didn't know," I said simply. My father appeared then, 15 years grayer, 15 years more stooped, but still carrying himself like the federal judge he'd been before retirement. "Christopher." Just my name, no warmth, no welcome. "Father." An awkward silence settled over the room. Emma, bless her, broke it. "You have a lovely home, grandmother," she said politely, and I saw my mother's face transform at the word. "Thank you, dear," she managed. "How old are you?" 12. Jake is 8. 12, my mother repeated faintly. "Christopher, you've been married for?" 10 years, Maria said, speaking for the first time. Her voice was steady, confident. "We met when Chris was starting his business." Business? Everly's husband Richard had joined us, looking at me with the kind of dismissive assessment I remembered so well. "What kind of business?" I smiled. This was the moment, but I wasn't ready to play that card yet. "Auto services," I said simply. "Oh." Richard's interest immediately waned. "Like a mechanic?" "Something like that." They put us at a table in the corner during dinner, the kids' table essentially, though Emma and Jake were the only actual children there. The other guests were Everly's friends who didn't quite fit the main table, a cousin who'd married poorly, a college friend who'd gained too much weight, the usual outcasts in my family's rigid social hierarchy. Jake, oblivious to the slight, was fascinated by everything. "This house is huge," he whispered to me. "Do they use all these rooms?" "No," I whispered back. "Most of them are just for show." Emma was quieter, observing everything with those sharp eyes of hers. She watched how Everly commanded attention, how my parents hung on her every word, how the entire party seemed to orbit around her. During the salad course, Everly stood up, tapping her wine glass. "I just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight. 35 is a big milestone, and I'm so grateful to be surrounded by family and friends who've supported me through everything." She went on to talk about her achievements, her charity work, her husband's recent promotion, the vacation home they'd just purchased in the Hamptons. Each accomplishment was met with applause and admiring comments from my parents. "Your sister is very successful," Maria murmured to me. "She married successfully," I corrected. "There's a difference." After dinner, I found myself alone with my father on the back patio. He was smoking a cigar, something Mother had supposedly made him quit years ago. "She doesn't know?" he asked without preamble. "That you still smoke? I won't tell." "That's not what I meant." He took a long drag. "About your situation. Your success." So he knew. Of course he did. My father had always been thorough. "Hamilton Auto Service," he continued. 7 locations. Annual revenue in the 8 figures. You've done well for yourself. No thanks to you." He nodded slowly. No thanks to us." He was quiet for a moment. "Why didn't you tell your mother? Would it have mattered? Would it have changed anything?" He didn't answer, which was answer enough. "You wanted me to be a lawyer," I said, "or a doctor, something respectable, something you could brag about at the country club. We wanted stability for you. You wanted control," I countered. "You wanted me to be another trophy. Like Everly. Following your script, living your dreams, And instead, you became a mechanic. I became an entrepreneur, I said firmly. I built something. I employ people. I solve problems. I create value. And I did it all without the Hamilton name or money. He finished his cigar in silence. As he turned to go back inside, he paused. Your children seem well raised. They are. The girl reminds me of you. Stubborn, observant. She's smarter than I was at that age. He nodded and went inside, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I was refilling Maria's wine glass when Everly approached our table. She'd had a few drinks herself, her perfect composure slightly loosened. Can we talk? She asked privately. I looked at Maria, who nodded. Go, she said. I'll keep the kids entertained. Everly led me to the study father's old sanctuary, still smelling of leather and old books. She closed the door and turned to face me. Why did you really come? She asked. You invited me. I didn't think you would. After everything, I didn't think you'd actually show up. Everything? I sat down in one of the leather chairs. You mean after I was essentially exiled for not falling in line? You left, she said defensively. You chose to leave. I was 20 years old, Everly. I was told to either study law or lose my family's support. When I chose neither, I was cut off, financially, emotionally, completely. You could have compromised, like you did. The words came out sharper than intended. Marrying Richard because he had the right pedigree, giving up your art because mother thought it was a hobby, not a career. Her face flushed. Don't you dare. I saw your paintings, Everly. You were talented, really talented, but that wasn't the plan, was it? She sank into the opposite chair. It's my birthday. Can we not do this? You're right. I'm sorry. I meant it. This isn't why I came. Then why? Closure, maybe. To show my kids where I came from. To prove to myself that I've moved past it. She was quiet for a moment. I used to be jealous of you, she admitted suddenly. Of me? You were the golden child. You were free, she said. Even when they cut you off, you were free. You got to choose your own path. It wasn't easy. But it was yours. She looked around the study, at the life she'd built or had built for her. I have everything they wanted me to have. The husband, the house, the status. And some days I wake up and wonder whose life I'm living. Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. Emma poked her head in. Dad? Jake's not feeling well. I jumped up. What's wrong? He says his stomach hurts. I found Jake looking pale, Maria rubbing his back. Too much rich food, she diagnosed. We should probably go. Of course. I scooped Jake up and he buried his face in my shoulder. My mother appeared, looking concerned. Is he all right? Should I call our doctor? He'll be fine, Maria assured her. He just needs to rest. As we gathered our things, my mother pulled me aside. Christopher, could we perhaps, would you consider staying in touch, for the children? I looked at her, this woman who'd chosen propriety over her son, who'd never once reached out in 15 years, who only now showed interest because I'd arrived with a family she could present to her friends. I'll think about it, I said, which was more than I'd planned to offer. In the car, Jake miraculously recovered. I'm feeling better now, he announced. Were you really sick? Emma asked suspiciously. My stomach did hurt. All those people staring at us made me feel weird. Maria and I exchanged glances. Even our 8-year-old had picked up on the tension. I'm proud of you both, I told them. You handled that perfectly. They were weird, Dad, Emma said bluntly. Grandma kept looking at Mom like she was trying to figure something out. And that Richard guy was rude. What did you think of Aunt Everly? Maria asked. Emma considered. She seemed sad, like she was pretending to be happy. Out of the mouths of babes. We were almost to our hotel when my phone rang. It was Marcus. How'd it go? He asked immediately. About as expected. Awkward, tense, lots of unspoken judgments. Did you tell them? Tell them what? About the new contract, the one you signed yesterday. The contract with the city's fleet services, the one that would double our revenue over the next 3 years, the one that would put Hamilton Auto Service on the map as a major player, not just a local success story. No, I said. It didn't come up. Pris, you're too nice. They should know what they missed out on, maybe. Or maybe the best revenge is living well and not needing them to know about it. But as I lay in bed that night, Maria asleep beside me, I kept thinking about Everly's words. You were free. She was right, but freedom had come at a price. Years of struggle, nights of doubt, the constant weight of proving myself without a safety net. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. It's Everly. Got your number from Mom's phone. Can we have coffee tomorrow? Just us? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Sunrise Cafe. 9 a.m. Maria stirred. Who's texting this late? Everly. She wants to meet tomorrow. Are you going to go? I think so. There's something unfinished. Maria propped herself up on an elbow. Chris, be careful. Your family has a way of pulling you back into their drama. I know, but maybe it's time to really end this chapter, not with anger or resentment, but with understanding. She kissed my forehead. You're a better person than they deserve. No, I said. I'm just a person who learned that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to stand by you when everyone else walks away. The Sunrise Cafe was nearly empty when Everly arrived, 15 minutes late as always. She looked different in casual clothes, jeans, and a sweater instead of her usual designer outfit. Younger, more like the sister I remembered from childhood. Thank you for coming, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. You said it was important. She ordered coffee, black, and waited until the waitress was gone before speaking. I need to tell you something about why I really asked Mom to invite you. I waited. Richard and I are getting divorced, she said quietly. He doesn't know yet. No one does, but I've already seen a lawyer. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's been over for years. We're just going through the motions. Like everything else in my life, she wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. Seeing you last night with Maria and your kids. Classed. You looked happy. Really happy. I am. How? The question burst out of her. How did you do it? Walk away from everything, from family, from security, from in them? I didn't have a choice. It was conform or leave. You had a choice. You could have studied law, taken the easy path. Would that have been easy? I interrupted. Living someone else's life? Waking up every day knowing I'd sacrificed who I was for their approval? She was quiet for a moment. I dream about painting sometimes. I wake up with my fingers moving like I'm holding a brush. It's been 15 years since I touched a canvas. It's not too late, isn't it? I'm 35, getting divorced, with no real skills except being a trophy wife. You're 35, about to be free, with the rest of your life ahead of you. I pulled out my wallet and extracted a business card, not for Hamilton Auto Service, but for something else. This is a friend of mine. She runs an art therapy program. They're always looking for volunteers, and maybe you could start there. Remember what it feels like to create again. Everly took the card with shaking hands. Mom and Dad will be furious. A divorce, and then this. Are you living for them or for you? I don't know anymore. She looked up at me. Chris, how much are you worth? The question surprised me. Why? Because I Googled you last week. Hamilton Auto Service. You're not just successful, you're incredibly successful. And they have no idea. The money isn't the point, isn't it? They cut you off because they thought you'd fail without them, and instead, you've built something amazing. I built a life, I corrected. The business is just part of it. The real success is Maria, the kids, the peace of mind knowing I'm living authentically. I want that, she said quietly. I want to know what that feels like. Then take the first step, file the papers, start painting again, stop living for their approval. Will you? Would you help me? Be there for me? I know I don't deserve it after all these years of silence, but you're my sister, I said simply. That never changed, even when everything else did. She started crying then, quiet tears that she tried to hide behind her coffee mug, the perfect Everly Hamilton facade finally cracking. We talked for 2 more hours, about the past, about her marriage, about my journey building the business. I told her about the early days sleeping in the shop because I couldn't afford rent, Maria working double shifts, the first employee I hired, the first profitable month, the expansion that almost bankrupted us. I had no idea, she kept saying. Mom and Dad said you were probably struggling, barely getting by. They believed what they wanted to believe. No, they knew. Dad knew. He mentioned your success last night after you left. He's been following your progress for years. This stopped me cold. What? He has a file, news clippings, business registrations, annual reports. He knows exactly how well you're doing. And he never reached out. Pride, Everly said. Hamilton pride. They were wrong about you, and they can't admit it. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Dad, where are you? We want to go to that science museum you promised. I have to go, I told Everly. Family plans. Of course, she stood up, then hesitated. Chris, would it be okay if... Could I maybe spend some time with Emma and Jake, get to know them? Start with yourself first, I said gently. Figure out who Everly is without the Hamilton expectations. Then yes, I'd love for you to know your niece and nephew. As I was leaving, she called out, Chris, that couple at the party, the Brennans, they asked about your business. Richard told them you were just a mechanic, but Mr. Brennan seemed really interested. He owns several dealerships. I smiled. Tell Mr. Brennan that Hamilton Auto Service would be happy to discuss fleet maintenance contracts. Her eyes widened. You're serious. Always am when it comes to business. The science museum was packed, but the kids were in heaven. Emma dragged us to every exhibit, explaining the principles behind each one, while Jake pushed every button he could find. Maria and I followed, hands linked, watching our children explore. How was coffee? Maria asked. Enlightening. Everly's getting divorced. Good for her. She wants to start painting again. Even better. We stopped at the space exhibit, where Jake was mesmerized by a model of the solar system. Dad, look, Jupiter has 79 moons. That's a lot of moons, buddy. More than Grandma has roses. It was such an innocent comment, but it hit me. My son had noticed my mother's roses, had paid attention to something that connected him to a heritage he barely knew. Do you want to see them again? I asked both kids. Your grandparents? Emma and Jake exchanged glances. Do you want us to? Emma asked carefully. I want you to have the choice I didn't have, I said. To know them if you want to, or not if you don't. They made you sad, Jake said simply. They did. But people can change, and even if they don't, you might want to understand where you come from. We come from you and Mom, Emma said firmly. That's enough. But I saw the curiosity in her eyes, the same curiosity that had driven me to accept that invitation in the first place. 3 weeks passed. Life returned to normal school runs, soccer practice, business meetings, family dinners. I'd almost convinced myself the birthday party had been a strange detour when my mother called again. Christopher, it's your mother. I know, Mom. Caller ID. A pause. Yes, of course. I was wondering. That is, your father and I were hoping. Might you and your family come for Sunday dinner? Why? Because you're our son, because Emma and Jake are our grandchildren, because I want to try. It was the most honest thing I'd heard from her in 20 years. I'll discuss it with Maria. There's something else, she said quickly, like she was afraid she'd lose her nerve. The Brennans called. About your business. They want to set up a meeting. Robert Brennan was very impressed when he looked up your company. And your father told him that Hamilton Auto Service was the best in the city, that the owner had built it from nothing through hard work and determination, that we were proud. The words hung between us, years too late, but somehow still meaningful. Sunday dinner, I said finally, but we do it our way. Maria brings dessert. She makes an incredible chocolate cake. The kids can wear whatever they're comfortable in. And if anyone makes my family feel less than welcome, we leave. Understood. That Sunday, we pulled up to the house again. Jake was wearing his favorite dinosaur shirt. Emma had chosen jeans and a Harry Potter sweatshirt. Maria had indeed made her chocolate cake, the one that had won 3 church bake sale competitions. My father opened the door this time. He looked at Jake's shirt, and for a moment, I tensed. Then he smiled, a real smile, not the political one I remembered. "I like dinosaurs too," he told Jake. "Did you know I have a whole collection of fossils in my study?" "Real ones?" Jake's eyes went wide. "Real ones. Would you like to see them?" And just like that, Jake was gone, dragging his grandfather by the hand. Emma followed, curious despite herself. In the kitchen, my mother was actually cooking, not catering, cooking. "I thought I'd make your favorite," she said without looking at me. "Pot roast with those little potatoes you used to love." "You remembered?" "I remember everything, Christopher. Every birthday cake you preferred, every book you read twice, every time you tried to fix something broken around the house." She turned to face me. "I remember the son who was determined to understand how things worked, who wouldn't accept because I said so as an answer, who had to forge his own path even when it terrified me." "Then why?" "Because I was scared, because I thought the path we'd laid out was safer, because I confused control with love." She looked at Maria. "I owe you both an apology, a real one, not just words." The dinner was awkward at first. Years of distance don't disappear over pot roast, but slowly, carefully we found rhythms. Jake told the entire table about Jupiter's moons. Emma asked my father about his time as a judge. Maria and my mother discovered a shared love of mystery novels. As we were leaving, my father pulled me aside. "The business proposal you're working on, for the city contract, how did you—" "I still have connections. You're going to win it. Your proposal is solid. Your reputation is impeccable, and you've earned it." He paused. "I was wrong, Christopher, about everything. You didn't need our path. You made your own, and it's remarkable. Thank you. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it, but I'd like to know my grandchildren, to know the man you've become. If you'll allow it." I looked at my family, Maria helping Emma with her coat, Jake showing my mother the dinosaur fossil my father had given him, Everly, who'd arrived late but come nonetheless, hugging Emma goodbye. "We can try," I said. "No promises, no expectations, just try." 6 months later, I stood in front of the newest Hamilton Auto Service location, the flagship store, complete with a customer lounge, a training center for new technicians, and a wall of windows facing the street where anyone could watch the work being done. No hiding, no shame in honest work. The grand opening was packed. Employees, customers, city officials who'd approved our fleet contract, and there, in the front row, my parents. My father wore a Hamilton Auto Service cap that Jake had insisted on giving him. My mother was talking to Maria about Emma's latest science fair project. Everly was there too, paint splattered on her jeans from the art class she'd started taking. Her divorce was final, her smile was real, and she'd sold 2 paintings last month, small victories that meant everything. "You did it," Marcus said, appearing beside me. "Built a business, rebuilt a family." "The business was easier," I admitted, "but the family thing, that takes real courage." I watched Jake explaining something about cars to my father, using his hands to demonstrate. Emma was helping at the reception table, greeting customers with Maria's warm smile. My wife caught my eye across the room and winked. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said into the microphone, "welcome to Hamilton Auto Service." 15 years ago, I started this company with a simple belief that honest work, fair prices, and treating people with respect would build something lasting. Today, we're not just opening a new location, we're celebrating what's possible when you refuse to let others define your worth. I found my parents' faces in the crowd. Success isn't about proving anyone wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about building something real, something that matters, something that makes other people's lives better. And most importantly, it's about the people who stand by you when the path gets difficult. The applause was warm, genuine, but the best part was after, when Jake ran up to me, threw his arms around my waist and said, "Dad, you're the coolest." My mother approached, tentative. "Christopher, that was beautiful." "It was true." "Yes," she said softly, "it was." That night, as our family of 4 sat around our dinner table, Emma asked, "Dad, are you glad we went to Aunt Everly's birthday?" I thought about it, about the pain of confronting the past, the surprise of finding possibility in the ruins of old relationships, the slow work of rebuilding trust. "Yes," I said finally, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Sometimes you have to go back to move forward. "That's very philosophical, Dad," Emma said, rolling her eyes in that preteen way. "Your father's full of surprises," Maria said, reaching for my hand under the table. And she was right. The biggest surprise wasn't the business success or the money or even the reconciliation with my family. It was discovering that the kid who'd been written off, who'd been told he wasn't enough, had somehow become more than anyone, including himself, had imagined possible. The Hamiltons had wanted me to be somebody. In the end, by refusing to be their somebody, I became my own. And that, I realized as I looked at my family, my real family, chosen and biological, complicated and perfect, that was the greatest success of all.